right, and welcome back. My name's Drew, and as always, I'm joined by Dirk, Josh, and Corey. Boys, how's it going?
Going pretty good. The Devils finally played with a full squad last night against the Rangers, and it was as regular season as a preseason game can get, and it was an absolute shellacking. The power play is going to be dangerous on both lines, and that's what it is. It's not just one line; it's two dangerous power play lines. So yeah, I'm good. Had a nice skate this morning. How's it going, Dirk?
Doing pretty good out here. Yeah, nothing too exciting new going on out here.
And Corey, how's everything out in Denverland? And are you an Avalanche fan yet?
No. I wish I could say I was better. I tweaked my knee on Sunday, and as of this morning, it's now popping every time I walk or every time I bend it.
Yeah, that should probably go see an orthopedist.
Yeah, no, I have an MRI scheduled on the 17th, and thankfully no structural damage, nothing to the bones or the kneecap or anything, but I'm worried it is something regarding my meniscus because I'm not stressed out about, like, whatever it is, I'll deal with it. I just don't know what it is, and I don't want to put these random thoughts in my head like, oh my god, I have a meniscus tear, because I can slightly walk on it,
Yeah, it's not even worth thinking about.
No, exactly.
The MRI, nothing. It's not painful, is it?
I would say just like, while I'm just like right now, it's like a 1 or a 2, but whenever I'm moving, it's like a 5 to a 6. Like at the time, it was like an 8 to a 9.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to get the MRI and figure out what it is. It's not worth speculating.
Exactly, yeah. I just wanted. I'm just annoyed because I don't know what it is, and it's just like I did it just walking down some stairs.
They'll probably have to cut it off.
Yeah, don't get into that
above the knee amputation.
Yeah,
don't get into that WebMD syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh God, no! I hate that site.
But hey, man, there are really good bionic limbs now. So like, you may be a better skater, runner, walker with a bionic limb than you were with 2 human limbs.
I mean, I've been playing this game called Cyberpunk 2077. That's got a bunch of cyber stuff. I don't know. I can get like a robotic leg.
I could not get into that game. I tried it on the computer, and there were so many glitches and like just stupid stuff that I could not get into it. I was really excited for it though. But that is a great segue, because I don't know if Dirk and Corey know, but we are finally getting Dented Puck Gaming up and running.
I did see that, yeah.
We got to play a little bit of NHL 24 on Tuesday and got absolutely shellacked.
Yeah, Josh did not just like quit like a baby in the middle, like with like 5 minutes left.
Josh made it through 8. We played what, 8, 10 games, something like that.
Josh was playing defense on 3-on-3, 8 to 10 games, and like when you play with blind people, like you get hung out to dry. It's just that's what happens. Like sometimes we just don't see the puck turned around. So I was just taking it and taking it. I was like, and they could hear my frustration grow as I'm like reacting to every goal. Then I was just like, I'm done, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh.
So how does it work? Are you 3 playing together on a team against other random people, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not just random people, actual teams. So these are guys who play together normally.
The biggest issue for us was that because the game is brand spanking new, we weren't able to alter our away or our alternate jerseys. So by default, the NHL game makes home teams yellow with black shoulders and away teams white with black shoulders. So they don't even differentiate the jerseys from type to type. And on top of that, even though we all changed our names in the system, it always switched us back to Jordan NHL number 24. So we were all wearing white jerseys with black shoulders with number 24, and it's just it was chaos.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, it's a new game. I think that as we progress, it'll get easier. Once we figure out all the ins and outs of setting up our actual team, I think that'll be a lot easier on us. The numbers.
I need my poke check and my back skating.
Well, the numbers.
The passing is there.
The numbers in their color are really the killer.
Oh yeah, for us, absolutely.
Like that's what makes those games unplayable. We actually quit one or two of them. One was we were both black, and the other we were yellow and white. So it's like, what are you gonna do? But no, I'm excited. We're gonna start streaming. Actually, Blind Gaming is our tag on Twitch. We're gonna try and get it out to YouTube and Facebook and all that fun stuff too. But it's really, it's an opportunity to kind
of show people what we can do
with hockey. And showing people that we can still play the game, and we are just like every other gamer out there, and that we rage quit sometimes.
Yeah. And the same way, we are creating a community on Discord, because I mean, we all like you guys just heard, we all play different games too, and everybody's got different games. So if you go to the dentedpuck.com, and we have a gaming page, there's a link to both our Twitch page and our Discord channel there. Hop on the Discord channel, join a Discord channel, and hopefully we can create a community of gamers there.
Yeah, and it's just getting started, so we'll get there. But I'm just excited that we're finally getting it going. We've been talking about it for a while.
Dude, a year,
yeah,
legit a year.
Been really awesome to play with Tony. He's been great, and just like in blind hockey, he is our go-to scorer. It's funny because in the NHL game, if you aren't a part of the club, every time you play a game with them, it starts you at 0 points. So it's funny to see Tony climb our rankings in one game after Josh and I played on the same team for 20, 30 games, and Tony will just bump above us in points every game, every time. But no, it's been a good experience, and I'm excited to keep doing it. What else?
Those listening, we will have a blind hockey community meeting next Thursday. Next Thursday night on Zoom and Facebook Live. So if you want to participate, you can have the Zoom link. If you just want to watch, it will also be on Facebook Live, barring us figuring out exactly how to do it right, and then all the technical complications going our way.
Yep. And then we have the Classic coming up in November, so I'm pretty excited about that. Looks like we should have some good numbers, and it should be a pretty good time. The Blackhawks are putting in a lot of weight behind this. They're really pushing to give us a good experience and a good time. So I'm very excited for that.
Good. Can that good experience start Thursday night?
No.
Well, it's worth a shot.
Oh yes, they do have a Fivo link for us for tickets to the game Thursday night. That is the Blackhawks versus the Lightning. They also have the link available for Sunday because the Blackhawks are playing, I think, Nashville. But it's $50 a ticket. It's in a specific section. I don't remember what the section is offhand. The Chicago blind team and myself are working really closely with the Blackhawks to see if we can kind of finagle anything else into that package. But the Blackhawks are definitely I feel like it's easy for me to say because I'm in Chicago and they're my team, but they've really done a lot more than I expected, and I'm just blown away by the support we're getting from them. So
awesome. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, now let's talk about this last week's podcast. We've had the Calgies. We've had Christine and Victoria.
We've had Emma.
Sietska. And I think that's it for
female representation.
For female.
We are going to get it. If we miss somebody, we're going to deservedly get it.
Yeah. But that's okay.
No, I don't think we had. Oh, wait, we had the woman from Philadelphia. Forget her name right now.
Oh, yeah, Kelsey. Yeah.
I'm talking.
There we go. Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We had Cohen's mom on too. Yeah. No, but we've had some really amazing female guests on here. I always like to throw out that Christine was the first female to score a goal in international blind hockey. Like I feel like that's a cool statistic to have attached to your name. Until we had Hillary on. And I think that maybe the coolest statistic to have your name is the only blind hockey player to ever score a shootout goal.
Yeah.
In a regular sided
hockey game with a regular puck. Incredible.
Yeah. That's great. That was a good story. Yeah.
And I know who we missed. Gianna.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, G. Yes. Oh.
She's gonna murder all of you.
I hope she doesn't listen to this one.
They're gonna see me first.
Gianna, don't listen to this episode.
She owes me anyway. I'm gonna come back on one leg.
But yeah, I mean, Hillary, I was really lucky and fortunate. I got to play on Hillary's team with the Hawks in Toronto for their open division play. It was kind of like a Kevin Brown experience for me. I had no idea she was a B1. I just like her ability to track the puck, to get the puck into the places it needed to go, to shoot, get around people was incredible to me. And to find out later on that she is a B1, it blows my mind. But super smart too, man. I think I said it in the podcast, but definitely the most intelligent conversation I think that we've had. Any podcast.
I mean, you don't get into Oxford by accident.
No.
Right.
But it was just it was a very interesting take. There were some things that we talked about what do they call the girls and women's the division in Canada? Is that or is it just women's?
No, I think they called it girls and women's.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting to get her take on some of the things that really worked well for that, and some of the things that maybe weren't as as successful as some people may have hoped. But I think that women's and girls blind ice hockey, having her as kind of a champion along with Christine and Victoria and Gianna, Amanda.
Oh my God, we're forgetting Amanda.
We didn't have her on the show, but talking about women that are becoming leaders in our community and really helping push that needle forward for them. That group is just incredible in an already incredible group of people. It seems like they keep kind of outdoing the rest of us. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic episode.
Yeah. Yeah, and it again, a very intelligent conversation, and we were just really happy to have her on, and I think it was a really great episode, and we hope that you guys all enjoyed as much as we did.
Hey guys, what's up? Dirk here. Just want to take a quick time out to talk to you about Conway and Banks. For blind hockey players, hockey bags are one of the most important pieces of equipment we own. I've got to tell you, there aren't many bags out there that can match up to this one. The hockey bag by Conway and Banks not only rolls, includes ventilation, it also has a contrast color bottom, and my favorite feature, interior bag compartments. Imagine having a hockey bag so well organized, you can find anything you need in seconds, with or without vision. Conway and Banks have partnered with the Dented Puck Foundation to bring these amazing bags to the blind hockey community. By using the link in our bio or the code DENTPUCK10, that's DENTPUCK10 on the Conway and Banks website, you can save 10% on your purchase, and it will help support the foundation.
All right, Hillary, well, welcome to the show. We're really happy to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you guys?
I think we're all doing pretty good. So let's just get into it. Let's start talking about you a little bit. So
sounds great.
If you care to share, what is your vision impairment and what kind of classification are you?
So I recently got classified as a B1 just about a month ago at the Canadian Blind Hockey Summer Training Camp. And the vision impairments that I have are quite a number. Cataracts, I'm missing the majority of my retina in my right eye. And then I developed a condition called opsoclonus myoclonus in 2016, which took kind of the majority of my vision.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So you got really, really lucky in the vision impairment draw.
Yeah. So I was born without a retina in my right eye. So I've been basically blind in one eye since birth. So I've never had great depth perception. So it wasn't totally new being introduced to the world of vision impairment, but I never had low enough vision to be classified as legally blind. So it was daunting, definitely, from that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and Dirk and Josh, you guys obviously didn't play with us, but I was lucky to play with Hillary in Toronto in March. And Kevin Brown levels of B1. Like, you were keeping the puck in really well at the point. You had some really good shots. You know, you're tracking really well. So
thank you
for all of that you have to go through to play the game. I think you're doing fantastically.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just a lot of communication and lots of training. My main sport, I'm on this podcast for ice hockey, as we call it here in the UK, but my main sport is actually blind soccer, blind football. And I feel like that gives me a lot of training advantages when I play blind hockey, because in that sport, you're totally blindfolded and you really have to rely just on sound and tactile information. So I feel like basically training for soccer really helps my hockey game.
Yeah, I bet. Do you find it's hard to track do you find that every rink is its own challenge because the acoustics are always different at every rink, and depending on the level of fans in the stands yelling?
Yeah, I attended when the U.S. national team played the Canadian national team back in March. I attended that game where all the elementary school kids were there.
Oh, that was so loud.
And I talked to Kevin afterwards, and I just said I wouldn't have been able to do what you did. I was overwhelmed just standing in the arena trying to listen to what was happening. I couldn't follow any aspect of the game. So I ended up just going back to the change room. So I'm not, like, there's definitely times when it is too much, or like if there's warm-up music happening, like that kind of stuff really, it can make the game completely inaccessible.
Yeah, when they do like the warm-up music, I don't skate around nearly. I don't get to really warm up because I rely on a lot of hearing their skate blade. So if they're playing music, I'm not going to see someone right in front of me until I'm running them over. And
it's a safety issue for both them and you.
Yeah. Or even when they would do it like just to change up, I was just skating to the bench and running over my own guys, trying to get off the ice. I'm not even moving that fast.
And then trying to figure out like where the refs were for the face-off.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a challenge. Like it's nice to have the music because you're like, wow, they're treating us like you're.
Yeah,
but
when it's more
at
for
the same
fans,
time,
I think too.
Yeah, it's more for the fans, but for us, it's like, oh my god, this is brutal.
Yeah, and I understand. Like the event in March was really good because so many people attended and had such a great time, but that is kind of like unlike other Paralympic sports where the crowd does have to be like maintain a certain level of quiet as well.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that it is an actual rule in the blind hockey rule book that the crowd is supposed to be quiet while
really
play. Yeah, I was like, that is not. Can you imagine a bunch of hockey?
I just thought that they totally overlooked that rule. That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's like bring a bunch of 10-year-olds in here, be quiet, and watch this hockey game. Like it'll work in the Paralympics
on a Friday.
Yeah.
Like kids on a Friday at a hockey rink in Toronto.
Yeah,
they're going to be screaming regardless of what's happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you say screaming. So my mother was born in Dorset, so I've known Nathan for a while, since I basically was one of the first couple of people that reached out to me when I joined blind hockey.
Yes.
And so, like, in talking to him, I've known about you for a while, and he showed me the penalty shot, and I saw the penalty shot before I knew you were a B1. And
oh, really?
in my first blind hockey game, I learned that Kevin was a B1 while playing with him. And so literally, like, my response to him when he was like, yeah, there's a guy out here that can basically that can maybe just see his hand in front of his face. And I was like, no, that's not possible. He goes, yeah, it's me. I go, no, you can't. And that was after playing with him. And I had watched the video. He goes, and she's a B1. I'm like, no, she's not. That was unbelievable, because like the sound after that. Can you why don't you explain a little bit more about what I'm talking about? Because it's got to be your story to tell.
Yeah, so this is probably the highlight of my life, to be honest. It's a kind of a long story because there's a bit of back to it, so I'll try and be a bit quick and brief. But
no, it's all you. You want to take your time into it? Feel free.
Okay, so I currently go to school at the University of Oxford, and the University of Oxford, thanks to Nathan Tree, is the only university in the world that I'm aware of that has a blind ice hockey program. So I attend practices, and I actually play on the women's Blues varsity team. It's a different level than hockey than Canada, but it's still very competitive, and we get a lot of international players from basically all around the world. So it's a really incredible experience, and I'm playing sighted hockey 3 to 4 times a week. So more than I ever played growing up, or more than I could ever dream of playing currently in Canada. The team has just been exceptional. The club has been exceptional. And when I first joined, they actually approached our main rivals, Cambridge University, and asked, could we try playing with the blind puck in the first period of this game? This was 2 years ago now. At that time, I wasn't comfortable playing in any game situation without the blind puck at all. So I only went on when the blind puck was on. They agreed. It was great. We thought that they had a good time, and it was really cool because it was the first game in Europe to be played with a blind puck. So that was also really historic and exciting. This was back in 2021. Over that entire year, we unfortunately had a lot of trouble with Cambridge University and Oxford University Sport Federation regarding the use of blind puck in game fixtures. There was a lot of very kind of superficial, I would say, concerns regarding why the blind puck shouldn't be allowed, or why I as a blind player shouldn't be allowed. Some of them were legitimate concerns, such as well, what if a blind hockey puck breaks the glass or something? Is it gonna injure somebody more? So those were simple things to answer and get back to them about, because we play it all the time in North America, and we really don't have those issues, except for Emily McLean, who just shattered the glass at the summer camp with the blind puck
really?
in August. Yeah.
Wow.
And off a deflection.
Off a deflection.
Yeah, she's the hardest shot. Wow. She's ridiculous, amazing. But some of their questions were also around does playing with this adaptation and with a blind player on your team lower our kind of caliber as what is known between Oxford and Cambridge as a blues level sport? So it's this kind of quirky system that's very unique to Oxford and Cambridge. No one knows of it outside of Oxford and Cambridge, but everyone within those two universities thinks that it is the epitome of athletic achievement to get one, to get a blue, basically. So Cambridge, their women's team, were worried that this would jeopardize their chances of getting a blue if they allowed the puck to be used in one of their games, specifically the varsity game, which is our kind of annual challenge match against them. And it was this big fight. My team, again, was incredible. And I get emotional like talking about it because they, like without me even asking, they did a petition, or sorry, not a petition, they did a survey with my team and said, if Hillary isn't allowed to play in this varsity game, do we still want to play? And everyone said no. So that was like just amazing.
That's amazing.
That, like,
that's the hockey community, right? That's what team is.
It is. Yeah. And they were willing to give up the match of the year just to stand with me. So the next year, this is the kind of season 2022, 2023. We're going into it definitely more confident. We have some of these things smoothed out now. We're definitely going to play with the blind puck in the first period of the varsity match against Cambridge. So that was really exciting. Everything was sorted out, and the varsity match was also going to be in Oxford this year. So it was going to be a home game, which was really exciting. Since playing with this team, I've just felt so much more comfortable trying new things, including playing a majority of the time with the regular puck. I actually find that really helps my game in terms of as a defenseman. I just try and play more positional hockey rather than trying to get the puck away from people. And I find when I play with the blind puck, it's almost like I get too focused on it, and then people like can really deke me out because they can kind of like dangle it to one side and like, oh, it's over there. And then you kind of start chasing it, and then they just kind of pull it back. Whereas if you're playing positional hockey, like your blades and your body position, like they don't need to change that quickly, as quick as the puck does. So, so I've been playing like every shift, every game that I could with this team, going to every practice, playing with the regular puck and with the blind puck. And this leads us to the varsity match against Cambridge this past year. We went in, I think, really strong. Both teams went in really strong. Both goalies were incredible. Both goalies were Canadian. Shout out to Canadian goalies for being the backstop for both teams. And we ended up going into a shootout. During the shootout, our first three players and their first three players, I believe, all tried to go in and kind of deke the goalie. And we're just all like stonewalled by each goalie. So that led to a fourth shooter from each team. Same thing happened. And our coach on the bench just kind of said, okay, who wants to go? Because like we had sent basically our top shooters to do those three shots. And I don't know what came over me, but I was just like, I'll give it a try.
Nice.
I don't know that I would ever do that again, but maybe. And I asked our coach, Kim Slesser, like, Kim, what should I do? Where should I aim? Or like, what should I be doing? And she just said, just go in and fire it as hard as you can. So I skate up to the center, and I'm sweeping for the puck, and I knock it, and the ref actually gets me in trouble for that. But on the video, it's framed as, and the ref's just helping her there, but he was getting me in trouble for touching it, understandably not knowing that I was blind. And then thankfully the crowd really quieted down, and I had no plan going in. And I feel like you're supposed to always have a plan going in for a shootout. And other than just shooting it hard, but I didn't know like I'm going to shoot like top right or anything. No plan. It was just go in and hit it hard. So I skated to what I thought was probably like over the blue line, and then just like hit it as hard as I could, and waited to see which bench like erupted into cheers before I just like threw my hands up in the air and just like collapsed on the ice. And my team all rushed out, and it was just incredible. And then we realized, oh shoot, Cambridge still needs to take one more shot. So we all had to scramble off the ice. We probably looked like assholes, but
no, you didn't. They knew exactly who you were. They knew exactly why. They also know that in that moment they would have done the same thing, and then also been like, "Oh, crap, we gotta go."
Yeah. So their final shooter missed the net. Our goalie, I think, saved it or kind of edged her out, and that was it. And every
must have got nuts.
time, I was like just crying and swearing and swears of joy, of course. And it was just the most surreal moment. And I gave all that backstory because it wasn't just me scoring a goal. It was everything behind that, and building up to it. And the club that fully empowered me and enabled me to not only be a good hockey, like a blind hockey player and a confident blind hockey player, but a full member of like Oxford Women's Blues, like ice hockey team. So yeah, that's that. I still get like goosebumps every time I think about it. My parents were watching it at home in Canada. My mom was watching it on the couch. My dad had it on in his pharmacy that he works at, and they're all going nuts because they're probably shocked. Like, why is the blind player also going up to take the shot? But yeah, no, I have the video saved, and I often just listen to it because it gives me such a boost.
And let me tell you,
reading about it on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't just you came over the blue line and shot. Like, this was not looking like a B1. This was not looking blind. Like, you came in looking like you knew what you were doing and then just picked it. And I was just like, wait, what? It was just like, it was one of those that, like, you don't expect. And it's one of those that people are like, yeah, you're not blind. And that's why, that's also the other reason we kind of do what we do, because we're capable, and we're capable to the point that a lot of people don't understand what that blindness really isn't truly that much of a disability.
Yeah, and it's depending on like the environment too. Like, I was walking to class today and with my guide dog Margarita, and I felt disabled in terms of like I knew that I needed Margarita to be with me. But when I'm on the ice, I know the parameters, I know my equipment, I can anticipate the play. Like, you forget that you're blind. At least I do in those circumstances.
Oh, absolutely.
When you play hockey,
yeah.
So let's go that way. Because you are a Canadian attending Oxford. What led you to Oxford, and what are you studying there?
So I am at Oxford studying a Master of Philosophy in Modern Middle Eastern Studies with Arabic.
Nice.
Awesome.
And yeah,
that's cool.
Thank you. It's a program that's not available in Canada at all or anything similar. So I was actually looking at, it was between Oxford, Harvard, and Columbia. But Oxford had the ice hockey program, so they got me.
See.
That's always going to be the winner.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I don't know. You could have joined my team. Because I'm in the New York area, so.
Columbia, I was too intimidated by Columbia, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just seemed like I felt like New York would swallow me up.
Yeah, New York is.
And I know that like Columbia is kind of off like on its own, but I don't know.
No, totally understandable. Totally understandable.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, what was your major again?
Modern Middle Eastern Studies with Arabic. It's like all one title.
So what drew you to that?
It's the best question, and one that I'm still, I think, developing an answer for, just because I think I'm still trying to understand what led me to this path. I think it's definitely a combination of basically I went into school post-secondary for health science right after high school. And 2 years later, I started, or 3 years later, I started losing my vision unexpectedly. And at that time, I was also just trying to figure out, okay, what do I actually want to do? Because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing in university. I was actually thinking of dropping out. Just thinking like, well, I'm obviously not cut out for university because I can't, like, I can barely pass these science or math courses. And then losing my vision, I think, gave me a wake up call for everything, like realizing, what do I actually want to do? I think that science and math, like I was planning on being a doctor because, at least for me, that was one of the very few definitions of success that I had in my mind. And it took, I think, losing my vision, going to university and being exposed to different people and cultures to understand what else is out there. So this is all kind of also happening in tandem with the major refugee crisis of Syrians coming into Canada. So this is kind of a 2015, 2016, or 2014 to 2016 time period. So, and the kind of hatred and animosity towards people in those communities, I just couldn't fathom or understand how we could judge somebody so quickly without meeting them or talking to them or even saying, I've actually met a person that's a new Canadian. So that's, I think, what initially sparked my interest. And since then, I've actually kind of delved more into the U.S.'s involvement in the Middle East.
There's a lot of it.
A bit too much.
I think all of us were nodding.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go over when I said it too. But just, for me, like this kind of thing is, I could go down a rabbit hole every night, and it's like the funnest thing in the world, just doing research about it, like following money trails and reading government documents and even like company tax returns. Like, I just find that incredibly fascinating. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, but it didn't necessarily inform my studies where I am now.
Gotcha. And yeah, I feel like in the United States, you'll get that same kind of, I don't necessarily want to say polarizing, but I feel like it is a polarizing topic. There are people that firmly.
Well, ours is at the southern border. Ours is the southern border. That
I'm talking about our involvement in the Middle East.
Oh, well, I mean, but the same way that she got involved in the Syrian with the Syrian refugees in Canada, we have kind of that polarizing topic like that down south, not in the southern border. Sorry.
Well, and the Muslim ban, for instance, when that happened, when Trump implemented that, and feel free to cut this out if it's too political for your podcast, my hometown, the mosque was burnt down. And that really shook me too, thinking like, it's right here. Like, this isn't happening somewhere down south. It's not happening in smaller towns. It's happening everywhere in Canada. Like, you can't claim ignorance or naivety to these types of things anymore. So, I think that was also like a big thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't claim naivety to much of it. I mean, I'm Jewish, and I was bar mitzvahed in Israel. But my college roommate married a Lebanese girl, and we sat there at my other Jewish roommate's wedding, literally just losing it over just the hatred of the Gaza Strip and the Middle East, because there's just too much killing for no reason. And but it goes on so long, and there's so much about the Middle East, and it's, whether it's now or whether it's the past, it's just, and even our involvement, but it's a very interesting topic, and there's so much out there, and there's so much in connections, like you're finding and like you're seeing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, so I was deciding between kind of two different routes for my thesis topic. And I'm mentioning this just because I think some people might relate to it. I was actually looking at, in 2017, I did research in Oman and the UAE on accessibility and looking at basically how accessibility is perceived differently in those kind of Gulf countries in the Middle East compared to North America. And I was thinking about kind of pursuing that, but for me, I chose not to, even though I think it's a really important topic. And I would like to investigate it further in the future. For me, it's I think it would be emotionally exhausting to do a thesis on that, just because it's so close to like my identity and who I am.
Personally, yeah.
But yeah, and then the other topic I'm looking at is U.S. oil and gas companies in Israel, and I know that there's a risk of studying that, and like I know that like I likely won't be able to ever go to Israel or like or if I study in the US, like I know that I'll be like on like these different lists that these right-wing groups have. Because if you study Israel in any kind of way that's positive towards human rights, I guess, you're flagged. So that was also a big calculation, but I felt safe enough to do it in the UK at least.
So that was a goal a long time ago. This thesis has been in your mind for a while.
Yeah.
Huh. No, I can completely understand how accessibility, the survey and accessibility can hit hard and keep hitting, because you kind of know we can always be surprised, but we kind of know how different groups are treated in a lot of these Middle Eastern communities, and you kind of know exactly what you're in for. So I totally get it.
Yeah, that, but also I think it forces you to reflect on like one thing that I really appreciated learning about accessibility, at least in the two countries that I visited, Oman and the UAE, was accessibility in North America and much of Europe is equated with independence. Whereas, at least from my perspective, accessibility in those two Gulf states are associated with a robust community backing you. So rather than saying like, oh, you don't need a cane to get around, it's because somebody would always be taking you to like somebody would always be available to take you to the grocery store or something. So I thought that was at least like really interesting and made me also reflect on, is accessibility necessarily equated with independence, or should it be? So it is really interesting, but it's just emotionally exhausting to
that is interesting
question.
Well, and it's a cultural thing too, because I feel like United States, Canada, most of Europe, it's expected that you make for yourself.
Bootstraps.
Yeah, and like a lot of, I mean, I would even say like Asian countries, Middle Eastern, it is about community coming together to support the whole and the individual. And
we see that with human rights as well. Lots of focus or emphasis on individual rights in North America, whereas collective or community rights are often emphasized elsewhere.
Man, I feel like this is the most intelligent conversation we've ever had on this podcast.
You can cut this all out if you want.
No.
I prefaced that. I'm like, guys, you got to know, this is going to be, we're going to have to be on our game. She goes to Oxford. Dirk, did I have to explain to you what Oxford was?
No, I know what Oxford was.
So with this major in mind, what is like, do you have an end goal, a job? Are you trying to move into like the diplomatic corps? Are you trying to be like what do you think you would like to do with this?
I think I really want to work in public policy, whether that's informing it from an outside perspective, like a nonprofit. I'm definitely hesitant to work with think tanks, depending on where they are, just based on what think tanks are. They're meant to influence politicians. But I also wouldn't mind working like within a government as well, the Canadian government. I think moving back and forth over the past couple of years has been really hard. So I think I need just kind of a stable job, kind of maybe stable government job for the next couple of years after this. But I am definitely interested in pursuing a PhD. I can't stay away from school for too long without really missing it. So, and I think I will look at US schools for that. Just it's much easier to kind of complete a PhD in North America than it is to in the UK, at least if you're from North America. So
yeah,
no concrete plans, but some aspirations.
Very cool. And so not necessarily along those lines, but having lived in England as long as you have now, do you lean more towards wanting to stay in the EU, or your final destination is definitely Canada, US, wherever it may be in North America?
I'm pretty convinced, unfortunately, that I won't be living at least in the UK. It's just too difficult with guide dogs to get back and forth. Like getting into the UK is just a nightmare if you have a guide dog, and it's very expensive as well, because they are technically an island and they treat themselves as such with any dogs that come in, including service animals. So, but I would definitely consider, I think, other countries in the EU. I'm kind of like, I'm open to trying things. I just don't want to be moving back and forth like a college student that's age 20 when I'm 28 forever. But that's currently what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to follow your dream and your goal.
Yeah. And there's so many online degrees now too.
Exactly. And hey, if you need a place in the US, Chicago has some really great schools, and we have a blind hockey team.
You do.
And we're much cooler than New York.
Now you're going to get the DC pitch from Dirk, or try to get you to go to Maine.
Don't go to DC. It's hot.
go to Maine. You're so close to Canada. You could be in Montreal in like 2.5 hours driving.
Okay. I'll let you know. Everyone can send me a proposal.
All right.
Hey man,
now we're recruiting. We need people to go under the table.
Yeah, that's a feather in the hat of any program. You got a B1 defenseman that is the only blind hockey player to ever score in a shootout. I think that's like a $10 million contract, 8 years easy.
At least. PWHL just happened. Yeah.
So I guess since we're back on hockey, like what are your goals in hockey? Where would you like to be? Is national team something that you're hopeful for, or is that just like you want to have fun and compete every national tournament?
I think my goals are kind of micro and macro, in that I have goals for myself and for kind of the short term. Ideally, I would love to make the national men's team. I know that it's not called the men's team, but it really, at least at this point, except for Amanda, it's the national men's team. But I don't know, and maybe this is insecurity that other blind hockey players feel. Like I just sometimes feel like I've hit a wall with my development. So I don't know if I could ever get there. Like I tried goalie actually in March because I am a B1. I'm just like, well, can I get higher? Maybe playing goalie, because I love that competitive nature and like those high level competitions. But I don't know, I'll keep working at it. And like in March, I was just blown away by the level of skill, by the number of like Canadian players that were there, that I just don't think at this point it's necessarily realistic for me to be on that national team. So looking more long term, I'm really, really hoping to develop the women's program. Not for the sake of having a women's national team, but for the sake of having more women on the ice. I think benefits everyone, women and girls.
Oh, absolutely.
And to give them the confidence to play at a high level with others that are at or about their same level. So it's it's more competitive for you guys.
Yeah, and can we let you guys teach them how to play and not Dirk, because we don't need any more Seaskas.
Hey, I'll teach you guys to be a whole team of Seaskas, dude. Yeah, right?
No, we do not need a team of Seaskas.
Yeah, you do.
Seaska's great.
Seaska can take a walloping.
I remember playing with her in Ottawa that weekend that you got injured, Dirk.
Oh, yeah.
And,
she's intense.
She made the team this year, right? Or this past year?
Yes. Yeah, both last 2 years.
Last 2 years. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, but like I know, for instance, there's a lot of women who and girls who playing men's and women's hockey is very different. So playing in that open division, if you're a guy, it might come off as really normal, but if you're a woman or a girl who's used to playing female hockey, and not in terms of the physicality or anything like that, it's just really in terms of the communication styles. And by communication styles, I mean that women have something and men seem to have nothing.
Yes.
At least my team did on the ice. Everyone was so quiet, and they kept on telling me, like, "Why are you shooting at the other team?" I'm like, "Because I need you guys to tell me that there's other players there." Like, no one was talking. So
in Toronto?
I just find that there's more communication with the women's teams. Not perfect, but more. And a bit more kind of camaraderie on the ice. Like, there's very rarely will you get, like, there's these guys in hockey, and maybe you guys are some of them, I don't know, that like you have an off-ice personality and then an on-ice personality. And your on-ice personality can have a quick temper. And you shouldn't necessarily judge someone's on-ice personality as their entire character. And I get that when I'm playing with guys. So if they're kind of pissed off by something that happens on the ice and they're yelling at me for it, I know, like, it's fine. Like, I'll get over it. They'll get over it. They'll forget about it in 3 seconds. Whereas like you wouldn't do that like in like the women's team, or really like it'd be hard to get away with it, I think. I don't know.
I mean, it's also like the highest level competition for, like, all three of us are kind of in that old category where it's kind of like it's not even like we're glad to be playing again. Like, we're a lot of these guys. This is like
I'm gonna call Josh out on this. You, sir, go from 0 to 100 like that on the ice. I have heard you screaming from goal line to bench to goal line, all at the same ref. When?
Every
tournament that we've played at.
No.
Yes. Dirk, back me up. Corey, you were in St. Louis.
Okay, I think that we need to do like a podcast on like realizing what our actual skill level is as blind players. Because it's also hard to know.
Yeah. Well, and I in my defense in Toronto, I didn't know that I needed to tell you people were in front of you because I didn't know you were a B1. And the way you played, I assumed you could see people right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I didn't find out.
And that's the other thing.
Last game.
And that's totally fair. Like, probably on a women's team, I would have said that ahead of time. But for like a men's team, like not the men's, like the mixed team, I was just like, I don't know.
Because you don't get to talk in the locker room. Like when you.
Yeah, that too.
You missed the whole lot.
Like,
you were sitting in the locker room by yourself. Yeah.
We're kind of like ushered in and then ushered out. And we just don't get that like camaraderie necessarily, but we do get it in the women's change room and when we do have those programs, and it's just so exciting to see. Like, almost every year we have more and more women and girls coming and trying the sport, and like I went to Finland last year and there was 5 women there, I think. So that was also really exciting. Nice. I'm like, you guys have a full line. I'm like, you're set. So it's definitely growing very quickly. I think that we just need to keep the momentum behind it and not necessarily treat it as we have our national team And then we have our women's national team. Something that did bother me and still kind of bothers me is the use. We had pink jerseys given to us for that tournament a couple of years ago. And this was the debut of like the women and girls program. And I'm not against pink as like a color, but and I think Haley Wickenheiser wrote about this too, was basically Canada Hockey, basically the first time that they had a national team, they trotted them out in these cute kind of girly pinkish uniforms. And she just said it made it kind of feel like a joke. So I want to also kind of revamp the seriousness put into the women's game. It's not blind ice hockey and then women's blind ice hockey. I really want to focus on developing those two national programs concurrently, and also just player development. So,
well, I think that's kind of a double-edged sword too, though, because there are definite benefits to it being a women's, calling out, making sure that people know that this is a women's and girls program or women's, whatever you end up calling it. I do feel like with the PWHL, just with how the Olympics have gone, everything, that people want more women's hockey. And so there's definitely more opportunity now than when like the three of us were growing up. Because like I remember,
it's really just branding though. That's I guess my biggest complaint. And if that's my biggest complaint, then I suppose that I don't have too much to worry about.
No, I don't agree at all. Because I actually wondered that when I saw the women's and girls development program, and you guys were in black and pink. I wasn't sure how that would hit with all of you, because I'm sure some of you were like, "Oh, this is awesome! I love pink," and I mean, I love.
I think most people didn't really
care,
enjoy it.
Oh,
I think a few people did.
Yeah,
but
and I think that's the feedback that needs to be heard, because it is just a bunch of people that aren't in the locker room making the decision.
Yeah, and to kind of like give an example again, like women's sports are becoming so much more popular, thankfully, with like the PWHL. Really excited to go to one of their games soon, hopefully. Like for instance, like they did like signing bonuses, and they did a whole draft for them. Like they really made it seem like the launch of a full new league that was treating women as though they were basically NHL players. I know it's not there yet, but they were treating them as though they were professional athletes. I don't know. It's branding. I think it was the Rugby World Cup that eventually decided to change their, because for instance, for soccer, you have FIFA World Cup, and then you have the FIFA Women's World Cup. So rather than doing that, I think Rugby World Cup has just decided to do basically by like the year that like, so World Cup 2022 or World Cup 2023, rather than identifying them as men's or women's. They're kind of things, it's definitely getting into the weeds of it, but I'm also happy to be the person doing it if no one else wants to.
Yeah. Well, there need to be people that step up and take charge. And if there's someone there, then that's always a plus. And hey, if you guys need non-pink and black jerseys, I know a guy that can make some for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that they definitely are aware of my sentiment.
We can do some really cool jerseys. I'm just saying, I got you. But
I would love that.
And I think that's I think that is slowly changing over, with just the conversation in general culture. People aren't as pigeonholed to blue and pink. And so that's nice. But yeah, it's a bummer when, it's something that's as exciting as a women's and girls development program being started. And then, I'm sure from a PR perspective, they're like, this is great, because exactly who these people are based on the colors of put them in.
Exactly.
But if the players,
a visual PR perspective.
yeah, exactly. Well, and that so our Dented Pucks jerseys have Braille name bars. You can't actually feel them and read it that way, but as a visual cue, people think, "Oh, that's not normal. What is that?" So that's how we utilize it, and I'm sure that's why the pink was used. But it's always a bummer when the player's like, "What? Why am I wearing?"
Yeah, well, and I think it's a balancing act between pleasing the people that are there and basically, like, when you want to reach out to a community, you need to make a spectacle that's loud enough that they hear you. Not spectacle as in something silly, but just putting on a big event that gathers people's attention. And they certainly succeeded in doing that in 2021 at the Women and Girls Summit. So hats off to Canada Blind Hockey for accomplishing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that they are continuing to try and grow it. I've had conversations with Matt and Luca, trying to get as many of our US women and girls involved as well, because, at this point, we're such a small community that if we don't work together, then we're just not going to work. So, yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm excited for that program. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but Winter Olympics, I love watching the women's teams. Hillary Knight is one of my favorite players. I just feel like there's such a difference in play style. Not that women aren't physical, but there's definitely, at least in my eyes, a higher degree of skill involved because you're not reliant on just destroying somebody in the corner. You have to get around through them.
It does take some skill to do that.
It's a different game.
It is. It's a lot more communication. It's a lot more. It honestly is. It's at some points it's higher intelligence hockey than their male counterparts.
I didn't want to say it.
No, I wasn't. But it really is. Like I was a teacher and a coach for a long time, and let me tell you, girls are so much easier to coach than boys. They listen. They're smart, and they do exactly what you want. And sometimes when they want to change things up, it's positive as opposed to, all right, you got to pass now.
And last year we had a captain. A girl was the captain of our 14U. I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was saying that we, my son's 14U team last year, we named the girl to be the captain. And the guy who was the best player, we made him the assistant captain mainly because he was more about the scoring goals. And he really wasn't as much as a team player as she was. So we made her the captain because 14-year-old girls are a lot easier to relate to than the 14-year-old boys.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, if you're picking a team captain, are you picking the best player on the ice or the best leader off the ice, or both on and off? So,
all I know
good choice.
I played a girls' team when I was in middle school, so like 7th, 8th grade. And they were the most cold-blooded, brutal team I've ever played against. Our coach told us in the locker room, we're playing a girls' team. We're not checking. Don't hit them. They will call a penalty on you. So we all played really I don't want to touch you. They had no problem. I definitely got ridden into the boards a couple of times by a girl as she's cross-checking me in the back of the head, and then no penalties.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, brutal. There
can be some psychological warfare in women's games.
Man, it worked. That was like 20 years ago, and I am still scarred.
We could tell.
It's scary, man.
You think that's bad? I was playing high school hockey, and I remember the short person in front of the net gave me a punch after the whistle, and I looked down at them. They were good 6 inches shorter than me, and I looked down, and I'm like, really? And I just gave him one little shove at him, like, get out of my face, you shrimp. I'm not going to swing on you. And I just gave him a little push, and they went down, and the whole crowd started booing me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I got a penalty, and I'm like, what is the big deal? And I go in the box, and my coach comes over and goes, hey, that was a girl you just hit, right? And I'm like, yeah, he was short. I'm like, wait, that was a girl? And he goes, yeah, dude, that was an actual girl. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea because they didn't have, I couldn't see.
No, but girl. To be honest, if you got a penalty for hitting a girl in that case,
because I knocked her over.
This is the 90s.
No, but still, like if that was like
it would happen.
like a male
Honestly,
goalie,
it would have happened if I'd hit a male that size too, because they were half my size, and I wasn't trying to knock them over. I think I think she was surprised that a guy would do that. I didn't know it was a girl. I just thought it was a little. No,
you were just playing
it was
hockey,
a little arrogant little boy. I'm like, get out of my face. I mean, I think she caught an edge. Really, I don't think I actually she just, tipped over. But the whole crowd was booing
that's
me.
what I did to Gianna. She got an edge.
Sure.
Yeah,
I saw that.
But that's all. The other thing, I guess, with blind hockey is like I don't know. There's definitely that. Like I felt when I first joined that people weren't passing to me until like they got to know me. But I just found it interesting, like how much time people, I guess, spend trying to figure out other players, or how much energy a player can exert trying to figure out, I guess, the gender of another player on the ice when it's just totally unnecessary to the game, or like the size of a player, for instance. Like just play your game, and if a player's open for a pass, don't worry about if they have a ponytail or not. Just pass it to them. Like don't use your minimal vision to discriminate on the ice.
If it makes you feel any better, Dirk doesn't care about any of that. He runs through everyone. He is an equal opportunity destroyer.
Yeah, I take out refs, my own team. Like basically, I'm like a T-Rex. I sense movement. Anything that just comes near me, I just.
Oh, and I guess
attack.
Josh is also an equal opportunity.
And I take out Siska.
Yeah,
no,
but that's how it should be. Like play your game. Don't play based on like who else is on the ice, unless it's a safety issue.
No, I mean, if I notice that as I'm going into the corner and I notice that the person I'm going against, if I have time to notice at all, which is very rarely, but if I do, and I realize they're half my size, then I'll only apply enough force to accomplish my goals. I don't, I'm not going to, when you see someone like David Clank or Belding going in the corner, someone that size, I'm like, I got to put everything I have into this, because if I don't, I'm going to be the one that gets hurt.
Yeah. But
and so like, I'm not trying to hurt them. You're just trying to equalize. Yeah.
For me, that's actually interesting, because I don't know until I'm in the corner and we're on top of each other.
Yeah.
So
usually the biggest hits I have are head-on collisions, because I have no central vision at all, and my vision sends like false images now. It shows me a clear open sheet of ice. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see straight ahead of me. Oh wait, no, I can't. And
or if it's Nick Boisvert, you just don't see him at all.
I know. I really don't. All of a sudden, I'm just skating along, and I'll just see a pair of legs, and all of a sudden, the legs go flying in one direction, and then I feel the impact. And I'm like, "Oh no! I just ran somebody over."
Looney Tunes, the legs are attached to the ground still, and Nick's body's flying.
I just feel like at this point in hockey that if you are brave enough to strap on the equipment and get on the ice and play the game, I don't care if you're a woman or a man. Playing hockey. You've made this decision, and you understand. You're also playing blind hockey, so you understand the.
I know. Yeah, I feel like the blind hockey definitely adds a level.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And at the open division too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
because at the open division, most of those kids, especially when you're playing in Canada, all those kids that aren't on Team Canada are aspiring to be on Team Canada. So like that's their opportunity to show what they got.
Yeah, and I actually played in the low vision division the previous year and thought that I should be moved up, so I asked to be.
Nice.
Because I just found that one like almost too, if people aren't moving in a way that's predictable, I find it too confusing. So for
that's
instance,
when it gets
defense
dangerous
that stay back.
That's what with Dirk and I in our B2s, because we move fast and we have to kind of use our hockey sense and know where people are. That's kind of where we have those low vision guys. That's where it gets dangerous for us. When they're not, like you said, predictable spaces. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I said, like you said, like when it's predictable and you understand where you should be, that's when it gets a little less dangerous and you feel a little more safe.
Yeah. Like I just felt like I could run into their defense at any point on the ice. Whereas when you're playing in the open division, that wasn't the case. But yeah, the skill was, I just was so impressed by the skill level in the open division. Every year it definitely gets better. And I think the pool though for both national teams are really expanding, which is also really exciting. And maybe that offers kind of the opportunity to do like development squads or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So for I guess our final question for you, since you play soccer in the States,
yeah,
shaded, what are your thoughts on playing hockey shaded?
I would definitely try it. I don't know. I would definitely try it. I probably feel more comfortable with it in a sense because at least with blind football, like you have no like mobility device in terms of, whereas like I really use my stick as like a cane on the ice to find the boards, to sweep for the puck, etc. Whereas you don't, like, you have your legs in soccer to sweep with, and that's kind of it, and your arms to run into the boards with. And so I think it'd feel a little bit safer. But I don't know. I'd definitely be open to trying it. Like, I'm really open to trying any blind sport, to be honest. I think it'd be really cool to try. I'm not sure what the buy-in is from people with really low vision.
It's definitely it runs the gamut. We had Trent from Columbus on last week, and I asked him the same question because he also plays blind soccer, and his opinion was that it would slow the game down. He wouldn't feel as safe. But I also think that like you've probably played a little bit longer than him, so maybe your comfortability in playing blind soccer equates to it feeling more safe to be on the ice in that same manner.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely trade-offs because like in soccer, again, you have no equipment, and you're really not, but you're also not going as fast as you would be on skate. There's boards in soccer, there's boards in hockey. But I guess, again, the thing that I like about almost playing with people who have a bit more sight is the predictability of their moves in the game. Whereas I'm not sure that you would necessarily get that if everyone's blindfolded, if you could make kind of those. I don't know. I feel like I'd have to definitely play a different hockey game than what I'm playing now.
Yeah. It would definitely slow the game down.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also levels of expertise. I'm sure that some people play faster, some people would play slower, some people, and I think that that's kind of the incredible thing too, having been in this community, because we do have a fair amount of low vision players that play in, they're either coming up, they play in the open division. We've got a handful of them on the US team. Each of them utilizes different tools to locate on the ice. Some people really get it, like Kevin Brown, who I'm pretty sure could find a penny anywhere on the ice if you told him where it was.
He's great.
Yeah, like that guy, I still don't get it. And then we have some other players that, even though they've been playing however long they've been playing, it's almost sensory overload when you have to take locating, you're finding the puck, you're thinking about other people. You have your stick, you're also skating, if you're sometimes it gets to be that point where too much is going on for you. And
I've definitely had that, like in soccer, where I'll come off the pitch, and I'll be just crying because I'm so overwhelmed with how disoriented I am. Whereas I don't really get that in hockey, just because, again, everyone's moves are predictable. The puck kind of moves up and down the ice, whereas, like, sure, you're going back and forth at some points, but it's moving vertically. Whereas there's a lot of lateral movement and turning around and just, again, unpredictability in blind soccer that makes it a bit more overwhelming. And I played fairly competitive soccer growing up. And while it provided me with a decent foundation, like, it's you can't say like, oh, I played soccer and then just jump into blind soccer. It's a huge transition, both mentally and physically and emotionally.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities for advancements in our sport. So who knows where we're going to be in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's exciting to see how fast everything is moving.
Well, Hillary, thank you so much for your time. Do you have a website for your Oxford team? Do you have social media you want to shout out? Anything like that where people can find you if they want to connect?
If people want to find me on Instagram, I think I'm just at hillary.scan. That's HILLARY.SCAN. You can follow the Oxford University Ice Hockey Club at OUIHC. And thanks so much, guys, for having me, and hopefully see you guys on the ice soon, along with some more women and girls.
Absolutely.
Thank you.